IRB.
Yeah, so that's good. So what needs to be reported to IRB? That's a great place to start.
Well,
IRB reporting. Okay, what needs to be reported to IRB? Here's a question.
any amendment to the protocol?
Yeah, so IRB have to approve the protocol amendments, the original protocol and all the protocol amendments when a sponsor starts a study.
Yeah.
They also have to approve everything else, like they have to approve each site by the initial site survey.
Yeah.
Then they have to approve the investigator capabilities. They have to approve the informed consent form.
Yes.
Okay, so those things, and then each time those things are amended, they have to approve. They have to approve the investigator brochure, or no, they look at the investigator brochure and approve the protocol. Okay. So those are the things from a sponsor level the IRB approves. But from a site level, when does the site need to report to the IRB and for what? There's a couple times. Sites need, one of them is regular. They have to regularly report. What is that called?
SAEs.
No, regular, because SAEs may not happen. But what happens every year? Site has to report to the IRB every year.
Every year.
Yearly IRB review or renewal. So when the site initially gets started on the study, they have to be approved by the IRB. That's the initial IRB review.
And annually?
And then annually after that. It used to be semi-annually. Now it's annually.
Oh, okay.
Like the last 5 years, it's been annually. It used to be like every 6 months.
Okay.
So that's the yearly IRB renewal for the site. Keep in mind, this is just what the site has to send to the IRB. The sponsor, they take care of their stuff. That's actually what in-house CRAs do.
Okay.
Study startup specialists do. But when the study's ongoing, like this one that you monitored, these are the things the sites need to do for the IRB. So that's one, yearly IRB renewal.
Okay.
What else do the sites need to report? You were right, you said it earlier.
Yeah.
SAEs, right?
SAEs.
So SAEs need to go to the sponsor and the IRB. Okay.
Yeah.
And then a third one, which is, so this happens every year.
Okay.
This happens with every SAE. This third one happens some of the times with this thing.
Some of the times.
I think it was in that letter when it said NA, not applicable.
Okay, so non-compliance with medication.
Yeah, so what is that? What is that when a patient's not compliant with the medication? What does that mean?
That's a protocol deviation.
There you go. There you go. So protocol deviation. So those need to be reported to the IRB by the site as well as to the sponsor. Just like SAE, protocol deviation, SAEs, they're both reported to IRB and sponsored by the site. Okay, but protocol deviation, not in every case. Only if it directly impacts patient safety for the deviation.
Oh, okay.
Okay. For SAEs, everything is impact patient safety, so that's automatically goes to IRB. But protocol deviations, it's usually a sponsor decision. When I monitor, I find protocol deviations almost every time.
Okay.
And I always, if I'm unsure if it's reportable to IRB, I put it in my report. CRA observed protocol deviation, blah blah blah. I write the details. Just like I gave you the example of EMONs, it's very detailed, her report. And by the way, they're not that long, supposed to be 80, hers was 80 pages.
Her report?
Yeah, they're not supposed to be that long. They could be like 15.
You give her too much time.
Yeah.
That's why she has 80
insane.
pages.
But I gave you that as a good example.
Yeah.
Okay, but don't do that long.
I don't think I would do that.
But you put in your report,
Yeah.
okay, CRA
Summarize
observed
it.
Yes, and in your report, you never write I observed. You put CRA observed.
Third person.
Protocol deviation,
Okay.
third person.
Mm-hmm.
Observe protocol deviation.
Okay.
If it's clear that it impacts patient safety, it goes to IRB. If it's not clear, you put in your report that the sponsor to follow up with you on how the site should handle this. Okay. So in what you found, what was the issue? Something about the IP, patient was not compliant?
Yeah, he wasn't compliant with the medication. I think there were 2 bottles that he was given with different dosages, and he was taking 2 out of, he was supposed to take 1 of each, but he was taking 1 bottle, 2 out of 1 bottle, like in the morning, and 2 out of the second one.
So he took the right dose, he just didn't take from the right bottle.
No, well, by the time he took 2 out of 1 bottle, it messed up the dosaging.
Oh, okay. So, and then the monitor must have said that's not, or the sponsor must have said that's not IRB reportable.
I guess so. So that's why.
And if that's an
it's
issue,
not applicable. Yeah.
Yeah. So and that's from the monitor.
Yeah.
That's the monitor. So then in that case, the sponsor for whatever reason said this deviation's not need to be reported to IRB. I think it does, but I'm not the sponsor.
Yeah, that's why it's surprising to me.
Yeah, it's
that
surprising.
It's not reportable.
It's always leave it up to the sponsor. When you're hired as a CRA, your job is to give them your expert opinion
your
on
opinion,
this.
and then they have to make the decision.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you're right. That's an unusual one. So that's the main IRB reporting. Another one is like advertising for patient recruitment. So ads.
Any ads? Yeah.
Yeah. So any patient-facing material that the sponsors can submit to the IRB as well, like generic ones. But if the site wants to do a customized one, like for local to them, and if they want to do it in English and in Spanish, and if even the images they choose, like this is not for a study, but this is for a CRC Academy, but for patient ones, you'll see it.
See you tomorrow?
See you, Kobe? No, we're monitoring tomorrow.
Oh, nice. Where?
Me and the student. No, LA.
Good luck with that.
Hollywood.
Thank you.
Hollywood.
Hollywood area?
Oh, we're
That should
going
be
to
fun.
Hollywood.
It's not what it seems.
No.
It's not what it seems.
Alright, well, I'll see you next week then.
Yeah, I'll see you Monday.
Alright, man. Have a good weekend.
All right, go Niners, man.
Bye-bye.
Go Niners.
Okay, so advertising. So even like, so when the sponsors create ads in the beginning of the study, sometimes they'll create, around the office you might see like ads, especially in the front.
So, yeah.
Okay, all that's IRB approved. Everything, the wording, the font, the color, the images, all of it's IRB approved. If the site wants to use those in their ads, they can. They don't need IRB approval. Those are already been approved. But if the site wants to make its own, like if I want to go on Facebook right now and run an ad, hey, we have a study for depression. This is, anyone who's between 18 and 65 who has had blah, blah, blah. Not so much detail, but general.
Yeah.
It needs IRB approval. So then the site will send the script of the ad, and if there's a video, send the video, and any images, and then the IRB will approve that too. So these are the instances where the sites interact with the IRBs.
Okay, so excuse me. So technically, once should I say an ad is approved, or a particular pamphlet is approved, you can use it for any study?
Well, it's only going to make sense for that study.
For that particular study, right?
Yeah, because the ads the sponsor make are very specific to that particular study. If you're a site and you want to make an ad in general, like, hey, we do schizophrenia studies, depression studies, Alzheimer's studies, and ulcerative colitis studies, contact us if you want to learn more. You don't need IRB approval for that because you're not recruiting for a specific study.
Okay.
But if it's for a specific study, and there is gray area there, but if it's for a specific study, you need IRB approval.
So, Okay.
Even if Craigslist ad, TV, whatever it is, you need IRB approval. So these are the instances that sites interact with IRBs. What else did you have a questions on?
No, I think that's about it as far as the indication she made here.
What about from
the
your report?
medication for my
Did you have anything you're not clear about?
no.
And you had a common one where you thought the monitoring visits and the patient visits had to do with each other.
Oh yeah, I don't know why I was thinking about that
It's
way. I think
common.
something
You're not
stuck
the
in
only
my
one.
mind.
You're not the only one. That's
I think it's from the class. It just stuck
Yeah.
in my mind. I think Shanae had said that you try to go out when the very first visit that the subject makes to the clinic.
yes.
You try to go out that day. And it just kind of stuck in my mind as far as
Well, you
so
try to
go out-
schedule it that
yeah,
day.
try to schedule it
Yeah.
that day. So I'm thinking, okay, so if the subject is visiting that day, then you try to be there, and that's like your first visit.
Yeah,
You know,
it doesn't
like
work that way.
an
but-
IMV.
Yeah, no, you'll usually get a notification from this. Like if you're a CRA,
Mhm.
you're connected to the IWRS, which just sends you an email alert when a patient's screened and randomized
Mhm.
and dropped out. So when you get that email alert, site 1 has randomized the patient,
Mhm.
then you know, oh, okay, this site randomized someone today. I need to go within 2 weeks, there.
Okay, at least.
Or whatever your monitoring plan says.
Okay.
It's never going to be that day. You never. 1%
you
of
try
the
to go
time.
as soon as possible.
Yes. Some
Okay.
studies have the monitor, like very rare studies, 1% of studies or less, have the monitors like on site for randomization. But that's not norm.
Okay.
The norm is like you get a notification, then you send a confirmation letter, or you schedule with the coordinator, hey, can I come in 2 weeks? This is the day I want to come.
Okay.
They say yes, you guys agree, and then you send the confirmation letter, which is what you'll send today for tomorrow, what we're doing tomorrow.
Okay, so let's say for instance, there are 4 people in the trial, and they get randomized all within a week.
Mm.
Would the CRA prefer to, get in there at least by the time 4 of them
Yeah,
are randomized?
that's a lot.
So you can.
You
So that would be a lot to monitor, right?
yes, that would be like a very busy site.
Okay. So
you
you
wanna
want
go-
1 or 2.
Yeah, and the reason is like you want to make sure that the site's not making errors with randomizing, because if they the inclusion exclusion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So some of those are very important, like safety issues
Yeah.
or data or efficacy issues for the study. So they're trying to eliminate certain people from joining in the study because either they have a condition or they're taking a medication that's interacts potentially bad with the study drug,
Yeah.
or they have medication or condition which is going to which the sponsor doesn't want in the study.
Okay.
So you got to make sure that they're not making these kind of mistakes.
Yeah.
So they want you out quickly after that first randomization. The site we're monitoring tomorrow, I'm monitoring another study with them tomorrow.
Okay.
The one we're going to tomorrow is
Mhm.
from my CRO,
Okay.
but I also monitor another study of theirs as a
Mhm.
contract CRA
Okay.
with another person CRO, and I'm waiting for them to randomize.
Okay.
Like they haven't randomized yet. They screened because I know I have to go in 2 weeks
Okay.
of when they randomize.
Okay.
It's easy for me because it's in LA. I don't have to fly.
So do you know how many patients they've? Screened?
They've only I think they screened 2, but they're waiting to randomize one of them because one
Okay.
screen failed.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's good.
Oh, what one failed?
I think one failed. Yeah, so I haven't
Okay.
reviewed that yet.
Okay.
But when you go, you review everything.
Mm.
You know, unless it's risk-based monitoring, which was very popular a couple years ago. Nobody's doing it anymore, really. every monitor I know still does 100% SDV.
Okay.
So looking at every single piece of
Every
source
single
data.
Okay.
If you can, you know, 100% SDV, source data verification.
Yeah.
Tomorrow when we monitor, this study is unique because they're not using a EDC at all.
Oh,
They're
they're
just
not?
source and that's it. It's a very small pilot study with a big, huge sponsor, but it's a pilot study, just 2 sites.
Mm.
And one site is in New York, they're not doing it anymore. So
Mhm.
they only need like 7 more patients. And
Okay.
there's no EDC, but if the sponsor like their results, they're gonna do a bigger study. But SDV or SDR is the same. You know, SDR you're looking to make sure protocol compliance,
Mhm.
GCP compliance. All right, that's the hard part. SDV
How
is
do
easy.
you then do SDV without EDC?
You don't in this case. You do 100% SDR.
Just SDR.
Yeah.
Ah,
That's the same
interesting.
thing.
I didn't know.
SDR is the hard one. SDV is easy. You know, it can have like a junior high person looking to if it's the same weight. You know, but that's easy. The SDR is hard.
I thought the SDV is chiefly what the CRA does.
Yeah, but that's the easiest part of what they do.
Oh.
The
okay.
hard part is looking at protocol compliance, GCP compliance within the
Oh
source.
yeah, yeah.
You know, that's the hard part because once you go through that, SDV is easy.
That's true.
SDV, you're just issuing queries. Hey,
That's
this,
true.
you know, this is not, or maybe you find a deviation, right? You won't know if it's deviation with just SDV. You have to do SDR. That's the hard part.
Yeah, that's true.
So tomorrow we're doing like 100% SDR. I doubt we're gonna finish everything, but we're gonna start from the last place the last monitor left off,
Left off. Okay.
which is your colleague,
So
Iman.
Iman.
Yeah, very good. Her and Monica did it together, but we're using
Okay.
Iman's report
Okay.
to look at where she left off and then
Okay.
where we start now. And then I scan all the new documents and
Mhm.
put them in Intralink, so you can monitor this even remotely when you go back.
Oh.
So each time, every 6 weeks I go, 4 to
Mhm.
6 weeks,
Okay.
and you'll see new stuff in the Intralinks.
Mhm.
And then
Okay.
you write the report again, and you just kind of follow the study that way.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
I'd like
it
to
should help.
keep practicing
That's right.
so I don't lose this.
And you gotta send me
Something
your
about
CV in a Word document. Do you have it?
I haven't.
Okay, I can do it for you. If you give me your CV, I'll fix it for you.
Oh, thank you. I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, it will look really nice to you.
I hope so.
No, it will look very nice.
Why do you think so?
Because I use these designs. We pay for it, this thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it makes it look like super nice. But I need your Word. I need your Word CV so I can copy and paste your past experiences.
Okay, I'll put it together.
Okay, there
Yeah.
we go. Even next week, if you have it now, I can do it tomorrow while you monitor.
I don't have it. I didn't come
Okay,
with it.
then next week, I don't think we have a student next week, so I probably have time.
Okay, once I get back.
Yeah.
I think I have Monday is what do you call it?
MLK.
MLK.
Monday.
Yeah, luckily
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
up before I'm able to get back to
I already committed to
work.
be working Monday. Wow.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
so
come
that's
late
okay.
though. I'm gonna come late.
I'm glad I'm leaving Saturday? I'll get in on Sunday, so I have
Then you
I
got a
have Friday,
holiday.
Sunday, and then that holiday.
That'll
so
be good.
Yeah,
You
I'll
have
be
time to
working on
catch
it.
up.
Yeah,
Good, good.
awesome.
Anything else? Do you have questions? on?
Okay. No, I think we got through that one. So the next thing I did was I didn't even see this one. I just saw this. Just jumped to this.
Action item?
Yeah.
And you're gonna do this too.
I didn't see that one. I just did this.
CCR certification. What did you not see? Oh, the top one?
Yeah.
Subject. You know what EOT means?
End of trial.
Yeah, end of treatment, yeah.
Okay.
Labs were not done on the day of the visit due to the site not having a kit. They were completed on November 20th. So that's a perfect example of a deviation that's not IRB reportable. In my opinion, you
okay.
can have CRA saying it is, you know, there's CRAs that look for deviations for anything, and there's
Okay.
others that try to work with the site. At the end of the day, it's sponsors their decision.
Okay.
But that's a good example of the labs were done,
Mm-hmm.
just not on that
On
particular,
the particular
visit
visit.
because they had no kit. But the labs are still done. So it was just done like a week later, who knows when it was done.
Okay.
But the patient had their EOT labs completed in a reasonable time.
Okay.
And in the monitoring report, because remember, this is just a follow-up letter. That's just what the site sees.
Mhm.
It's not as detailed as the monitoring report. The sites don't see the monitoring report.
Okay.
In the monitoring report, I'm sure the CRA detailed exactly when the kid, when they took that test. That's probably why it's not applicable. If it was
Okay.
just not done, and by the way, patient can refuse not to have it done.
Oh, really?
Patient can
Yeah.
refuse to even not come in.
That's true.
But that's deviation. But
They
there's
refuse to
nothing you
come.
can do if you're the site. You have to honor their
So
wish.
if they refuse one time and then show up the next time, how does that affect continuation with
If they
the study?
refuse, so if they refuse a lab draw at a visit, unless it's the early end of termination, which doesn't matter anymore, they're already out.
Mhm.
But let's say they refuse to have their labs drawn at baseline, they can randomize. So they would have to be withdrawn. So somebody would have to talk to that patient from the site,
Mhm.
like, hey, what's the reason? You know, you already did the screening.
Yeah.
Try to come to a resolution. If the patient still doesn't, just refuses, they have the right to quit
Yeah.
anytime.
I know.
So that's it. Let's say they did randomize.
Yeah,
and the
that's the one I
patient-
need to know.
So
Yeah.
let's say they randomize and the patient doesn't feel like having their blood drawn on visit 4 because they're in a hurry and they have to go.
Okay.
Well, I mean, that's a deviation. Okay.
Mhm.
Then the site will talk to their CRA. Hey, how does the sponsor want to handle this? The patient's requesting that we draw their labs at their next visit, even though it's not part of the protocol. Can we make an exception?
Mhm.
Or maybe the patient can come in for an unscheduled visit when they have more time.
Okay.
So unscheduled visits can happen anytime the site
I
wants to.
saw one.
Unscheduled.
Yeah.
That's
Mhm.
good. So probably they would say,
Unscheduled one.
probably they would tell the site to schedule the
Okay.
patient to come in for a blood draw
Yeah.
sometime before their next scheduled visit,
Mhm.
and it's an unscheduled visit, and then the site will document when, why,
Yeah.
you know, all those Alcoa-C things
Yeah.
on a note to file.
I just didn't during class. I just didn't picture unscheduled visits. It seemed like everything has to be on schedule.
It's supposed to be, because that's the
Yeah.
protocols. But in
Uh-huh.
real life, people
That's
have to
from
go.
how it plays out, right?
Yeah, people have to pick up their kids. Maybe coordinator is late.
And especially in psychiatry.
Oh
you know,
yeah, yeah.
Especially
In
that.
psychiatry, you get patients that think somebody's chasing them and they have to leave.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's not gonna happen.
We get that
to
too.
Schedule.
we get that
Sure.
too. So
Yeah.
we do a lot of unscheduled in psych for those reasons. Patients get anxious and can't wait
Mhm.
for the rater to get here.
Mhm.
Maybe the rater is Chris and he's stuck in traffic.
Yeah.
And patient says, "Hey, well, I have to go. You know." And no matter what you do as the site to try to calm them down, they're gonna go. They didn't quit the study. They just said, "Next time I'll come in," and then you do an unscheduled visit. Hey, come back.
Come
Let's
back.
get your whatever assessment done.
Mhm.
And you'll get paid again for the visit,
Okay.
and that's it. Then we can collect the data. Still a deviation, right? IRB reportable. I don't know. That's sponsor to decide.
To decide. Okay.
So the site will ask their CRA. If they're a good site, they will ask their CRA. If they're not a good site, they're gonna wait till the CRA comes to the site and discovers what happened.
Okay.
And if you're a CRA and the site hasn't told you, and you come to the site and you don't discover it, it's not gonna look good when somebody else discover it later.
Yeah. Blimey.
Yeah, they're gonna say, "What's this? What happened here? This is a deviation."
Okay.
There's a lot of things like that, but that's actually a very good question. Unscheduled visits.
Yeah. Did you want to see this?
No, I don't need to see that. That's just for practice. Tomorrow we see, well, I won't even see your report tomorrow. I'll see it when you email it to me.
Okay.
But that's the one that we're interested in. I'll actually put comments, have you change things. It's revisions. You revise it.
Okay.
And then once we come to agreement that it's good the way it is, it's finalized. So we finalize your monitoring report.
Okay.
So you remove all comments, highlights.
Okay.
You can sign it electronically, and then I sign it, and then I say, okay, now you can send, based on this finalized report, your follow-up letter.
Okay.
And the follow-up letter, you'll see it's a template. So you just take it straight from the report. Even if you've monitored already 5 more sites, and you forgot what happened, which is like me. I can't remember what I did, but that report, I have everything to do the follow-up letter.
Okay.
Everything I need is in that report.
Okay.
And I'm glad I keep those reports because I don't remember.
Yeah,
these
it's
things.
hard to, yeah.
How can you remember
It's
if there's 4
hard to
patients
remember
screened or
when-
3 or 6, and then what amendment you're on? Who
That's-
knows?
Yeah, that's tough to remember.
Yeah, but the reports keep it there. And keep all your versions. Like, don't just keep the finalized one. Keep your original. But then when you're going off your follow-up letter, you use the finalized version.
Okay.
But for your records, you want to keep all versions of your report. And in the trial master file, we'll keep it for you. Like Intralinks is a trial master file.
Okay.
So that will keep it for you, all versions. In our Intralinks, we only keep the finalized version. But in most CRO SOPs, they'll have all the versions of the monitoring reports kept.
Okay.
That's the real way, that's the proper way to do it. For this pilot study, we don't even need to do this report, but it's good for the students to learn how to monitor.
Okay.
So we just put the finalized versions in there, and then the follow-up letter and the confirmation letters for every IMV, for every SIV, or there's only one SIV per site, for every SSV, for every IMV, and then for the closeout visit.
Every SSV.
Yeah, site selection visit. Site selection visit.
Okay.
So it's when a CRA comes to the site to see if they're going to get the study, to see if they're qualified to do the study.
To do the study. Okay.
Usually it's not the same CRA that does the SIV and the IMVs. Usually
Okay.
they have different people doing just that.
Doing that. Okay.
I think it's
Who-
probably the
who were
funnest to do. The
You think?
reports are the most detailed of these,
Mhm.
but it's also probably the funnest as a CRA to do.
Really?
Yeah, because it's more like talking instead of looking at data. It's more talking to the site,
To the side. Okay.
and you're not training even. You're just maybe going over the slides, but you're not training them. SIV is all about training.
SIV.
Yeah, site initiation. And then IMVs are about everything. That's why there's so many IMVs for a study.
Okay.
For each site, there's only one SSV, only one SIV. There could be a number of IMVs, and then only one closeout visit. So the most common monitoring visit is the IMV, which is what we have you guys do.
Okay.
And that's the one you did today and the one you'll do tomorrow. Same report, same template, but a different study.
Okay, but what about if you get an interview and they're looking for you to do an SSV and SIV? How would you then handle that?
Well, you can tell the truth, like I haven't done those, but I've done IMVs and this is what I have done, so I know exactly what to look for at a SSV because it's the same things I was monitoring in my IMV. It's the same thing. It's all the same. It's just different way the reports in the book.
Mm-hmm.
We have all the reports in there. The
You have-
templates.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we have SSV report in here.
Okay.
IMV, see site qualification visit report.
Okay.
Also called the SQV sometimes. Site initiation, closeout, so everything's there.
Okay.
But, so that's how I would answer that question.
Okay.
Of course, some people lie and say they did it, but
No,
if
I
you
don't
want to
want
tell the
lie.
truth, you tell them the truth, and you tell them all, like everything in detail of what you did with your IMV reports. They're gonna say, okay, this person can do a SSV. Usually, they have site selection visit.
Mhm.
I've seen like more senior level people,
Mhm.
senior level CRAs doing site selections.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
Yeah, because they're really
They
trying to
would
assess
know.
from the PI,
Yeah.
okay, what do you think? You can do this or not? From my experiences, I have
Mhm.
seen some junior people doing SSVs, but usually it's a senior level person doing the site selection.
Yeah, I think it makes most sense for someone who
Yeah.
has experience.
And it's also
select
a
the-
good way for the CRO
Select the
to...
PI.
Yes. And it's, like I said, it's like probably the funnest
Mhm.
one to do. So if you're a CRO and you don't want to burn out like your most senior level CRAs, they've been doing IMVs for 10 years and you think they're wanting to quit, move them to SSVs and keep them another 2 years.
Okay.
Who knows? I mean,
Yeah.
that's just an
That
example.
might make them stay.
Yeah, because it's easier
Yeah, that's true.
and it's less travel. The travel is like in bunches. Like, okay, go select these sites, and then when the study starts, then they give them another site. Okay, go do these sites now. And then when you're not traveling, you just review these junior level monitors reports.
Yeah.
And it's good. That's like what I'm doing. When you send me your report,
Mhm.
I will be like the lead CRA and say, oh, hey, this is not, I'll put in the comments, this is not good, follow up here, more detail, please. And then finally we get a finalized version. And it's oncology. You're going to read that protocol today.
Oncology.
Don't get lost in the detail, okay? Just big picture.
Okay.
But it's true also the devil in the details. It's both. It's both. But you have to know what you're doing. You have to know what you're doing. With this one, it's
Mhm.
right before a closeout, so there's no patient activity. Everything's been monitored already. So it's really just following the action item, the follow-up items, right?
Mhm.
But we cheated. I had to learn that the hard way, but then we cheated and I said this is what you do. With the tomorrow,
You think that's cheated?
it's cheating. If I tell you from the beginning, then there's nothing to look at. You're just gonna look at those things. Alright. But tomorrow it's different story. Okay? Active. I've seen in my emails there's already been at least one SAE. I don't
Okay.
even know the details of it.
Okay.
So now we at least know what we need to focus on more tomorrow.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
That's how it is to be a monitor. You gotta kind of prioritize because you're never gonna catch everything. You just have to prioritize, okay, what am I doing at this visit? Where is this site? What is the context of
But
this site?
but that would have me worried if I feel like I didn't catch everything and
Yeah.
what if there's an audit?
Most people, when they
I don't want
miss
to
things,
look
are not
bad.
doing their best. Most people, when they miss things, are not doing their best. They're just going through the motions. So as long as you're engaged the entire time,
Yeah.
you might miss some things, minor things, but you don't miss the major ones.
Okay.
Don't miss the major ones. SAEs are major.
Mhm.
Protocol deviations are major.
Mhm.
You know the major stuff already.
Mhm. And what are the
Minor things
ones?
are like forgot to put a header or didn't put a dash in between the initials.
Okay.
No one's gonna hold you to the firing squad if you missed one of those.
Mhm.
But if you miss like a SAE, and nobody knows about it till later, that's a big one.
Yeah.
And if you miss a deviation and the patient gets harmed because they're not supposed to be in the study,
Yeah.
that's a big one. Those kind of things are big. Basically, patient safety and data integrity are big, and like little things like documenting, initials or missing a foot, like a page number on the bottom, one of two. If they didn't put two,
2 of 3.
yeah, that's small. I mean, when you see it, you flag it, but you don't be bad. Like, don't feel bad if you miss those from time to time. You can catch those, but don't miss the big ones.
Okay. Yeah, Chris, yesterday he wanted to see if I could pick up what was missing on the pages.
Did you?
I was.
Did you see
I
that
was-
duplicate one where they wrote the same thing twice, or they had the same page, but they changed one thing on the other one? The duplicate.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
was it.
that's a big one.
Yeah.
That's an example of a big thing.
Okay.
Why? Because how do we know which one is right? Now you're talking about data integrity. You may be talking about fraud, at worst.
Yeah.
Sloppy Alcoa at best. That's a big one. The little things. I mean, initialing and dating your errors, or like sloppy handwriting by PIs is a little thing.
Sloppy handwriting.
Yeah, good luck trying to read someone's notes. It's like this. Like I had PIs writing like this in their progress notes. Literally like this.
Well,
See, I tell them, hey, this is not
But in
Alcoa.
that case, you get the study coordinator.
Yes, and in that case, they had the coordinator notes as well.
To help.
So
you
then I
look
saw,
at the
like,
PI.
I was able to read a few words of the PI, but I did tell them, hey, and I put in my report too. Because remember, in your report, you're covering your own backside. Right? Like,
Yeah.
so if an auditor comes in and says, look, these are messy, they could go back and say, oh no, she did tell them in our reports, that they need to be, but you can't force him how to write.